Alright, we finally have the new mini box released, Arts of Atlantis. It's about time. It's been 2 months since we've gotten the new box, and this is going to be the last box of the XYZ era. There are no more boxes coming out during this era. Pendulum's coming out at the end of next month with the Arc 5 world, and that box that comes out at that point will likely be geared towards that new summoning mechanic. So this is it for the XYZ era. So go ahead and jump straight into it. We have two main archetypes here, chronomalies as well as gimmick puppets, as well as a few other one-ofs here and some generic cards for a few different things, and some generic XYZs as well. So, jumping straight into it, number 6, Chronomaly Atlantis. Any 2 level 6 monsters, generic, 2600 attack and 3000 defense. So, when you XYZ summon this card, you can take a number monster, one of those XYZs, in your graveyard and equip it to this card as like an equip spell. You can then detach a material from this card to send that equip to the graveyard and cut your opponent's life points in half. You can't conduct your battle phase during that turn, though. So, I'm not sure if that's going to be nerfed or not, given that the effect damage in Duel Links is usually nerfed for cards because of the 4,000 versus 8,000 attack or life point differential, so I'm not quite certain if that's going to get nerfed or not, but either way, it's a solid stat line that you can bring out. Obviously its attack points can go up by quite a bit if you have a number in your graveyard, but not sure how easy it'll be to do this turn 1 to like try to burn your opponent's life points in half before they can even play, because you have to have a XYZ in your graveyard beforehand. But nonetheless, so again, pretty solid stat line, and it gets pretty big if you can equip something out of the grave to it. So next up, the second ultra rare is Chronomaly Crystal Skull. So this is a level 3 or effect monster. If you control a face-up Chronomaly, you can discard this card from your graveyard, or to your graveyard from your hand, and add a Chronomaly monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So this is just a great searcher. Anytime you have a Chronomaly on the board, discard this, add anything you need from your deck to hand, or if you need to get something back from your graveyard to hand. This is just an amazing searcher for this deck. Yeah, I'm really glad that they got this card. It should give them some great consistency that this deck is going to need if it's going to be competitive in any kind of way. Another thing just about the Chronomaly Sonoas too is that we should be getting some skills and some other Chronomaly cards as well, so it's kind of tough to judge this deck right now when we don't know what all these skills as well as what the other future releases for this deck are going to be. So it makes it a little tough to judge Chronomalies at this point, but still, it's really nice to see them get this card. Alright, next up we have Junk Puppet. Target a gimmick puppet monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only activate 1 per turn. It's a monster reborn for gimmick puppets, and you know that's it. Monster reborn for the deck, and that's pretty good. That's not too bad. So we'll see if it sees play in the deck or not. Next up, we have number 36, Chronomaly Chateau Huyuk. I apologize, don't know how to pronounce that. Anyways, it requires 2 level 4 Chronomaly, so it's not generic. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach a material from it, target a face-up monster on your opponent's side of the board, and make it 0 attack until the end of the turn. Which is really good, obviously, for protecting itself. Your opponent basically has real trouble attacking over this thing. If it's only once per turn, though, so you know if they do have multiple monsters, they can try doing that. But it's got 2,000 attack, 2,500 defense, so an alright stat line. Also, you can tribute a Chronomaly monster you control, then target a monster on your opponent's side of the board whose current attack is different from its original attack and destroy it. So you can just straight up just detach from this, turn an opponent's monster down to 0 attack, and then tribute and blow something up. So it's just good removal in that sense. Has a little bit of protection. Interesting card for Chronomalies to get here. Alright, next up we have a generic rank 4. Any 2 level 4s will make this. Number 52, Diamond Crab King. Now this thing starts out with 0 attack and 3,000 defense. And the way that it works is that once per turn you detach a material from this card and you swap its attack and defense. So it goes to 0 defense and 3,000 attack. And it stays till the end of the turn. And then when you attack with this card, afterwards it gets changed to defense mode. Now, when it's in defense mode, if you have no materials on this card and it gets attacked, after that attack, it gets changed back to attack mode with its 0 attack points out there vulnerable. So it offers protection itself, but only when it has the materials on it. In which case your opponent can run into it, and then after it gets changed to attack mode, they can attack it again. So it's a little bit confusing. I had to read this card a couple of times to be, wait, what does this thing do? But yeah, but nonetheless, so it can go up to 3,000 attack, which is nice because right now we don't have like a lot of rank 4s that can get up to 3,000 attack and trade off with things like Blue Eyes White Dragons and stuff like that. So this is really nice to have this. So if we get into a really like Blue Eye centric meta game and we need 3,000 attack point rank 4s, this will give us to us and we can go and swing after them. So these are super hit. By the way, I don't know if I forgot to mention that the first 3 are ultra rares, the first 3 of those, and since then we're down super rare. So of course this is a mini box, so not as much in this. Alright, next up we have the Gorgonic Guardian, a super rare. Now this requires 2 level 3 rock type monsters, so it's not generic, it's going to be a little bit tough to make. But once returned during either player's turn, you detach a material from this card, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and give it 0 attack points, and then you negate its effect. So it lasts until the end of the turn, and then once returned you can target a monster on your opponent's side of the board that has 0 attack and destroy it. So if you can get this out on the field using rock type monsters, it's actually a pretty good effect. You know, being able to just flat out negate an opponent's monster's effect, turn it down to nothing, swing over, pop, whatever. That's really good. That's really solid. Again, it's more about, you know, how easy can you make this, because you need rock type monsters to make it, 2 of them. So 1600 attack and 1200 defense as well. Not a great stat line. But it is a rank 3. Now this does have a great stat line for a rank 3, but it has some restrictions. So Acid Golem of Destruction, number 30, 3000 attack, 3000 defense. During your standby phase, detach a material from this card, or you take 1000 damage. You can't special summon any monsters while this is on the board, and while it has no materials, it cannot attack. So this isn't like the kind of card that you summon turn 1 and then stick on the board for the entire game. This is the kind of card you bring down at the end of the game to finish off your opponent and attack directly for game, or to swing over their big monster, or to crash into their blue eyes or 3000 attack point monster. This isn't like the type of thing you summon turn 1 or turn 2 and just sit on it. This is something that you use to like try to close out games. So this is a pretty solid card though. Like if you get 2 level 3s out, allowing you to go into a 3000 attack point monster immediately is really good. And you can take those 1000 damage points as well, and keep it on the board for a couple turns that way. You're going to burn as time goes on, so there is that risk. But yeah, this is a really solid card to get into the game. One of the better rank 3s that we have at this point. I'm really glad to see it. Used this card back in the day quite a bit, so yeah, Acid Golem, this is a really good card for us to get. And decks that, you know, have the space in their extra deck for this, that can make rank 3s, are going to love having this card. Alright, so next we have Chronomaly Nebridus. Now this card is amazing. Level 4, 1800 attack and 1500 defense, so a good stat line for its level. When you normal summon it, add a Chronomaly from your deck to hand, except itself, so it's got a Stratos effect on it. Same attack points to Stratos too. And if this card is in your graveyard and all monsters you have a Chronomaly, you can special summon this card in defense position. You can't activate cards or effects that during the turn you activate this effect, except Chronomaly cards in effect. You can only use that effect once per turn. So a little bit of restrictions on that one. So once you've done this, you can't do anything except summon Chronomalies, activate Chronomalies, stuff like that. However, though, I guess you can still technically summon non-Chronomalies, but you can't activate non-Chronomaly effects for the rest of the turn. But either way, it's a Stratos with this 1800 attack points, level 4, and you can bring it back from the graveyard for free and, you know, use it for XYZ sums with it. So that's, overall, that's a really good card. This card is absolutely insane for this deck. It's certainly what it needs. Again, we got to see what the skills are. We got to see if we're getting any other cards to support this deck as well to know just how good it is. But nonetheless, so Crystal Skull and Nebridus are really, really good cards. So if we get good skills, and if we get just another 1 or 2 other good Chronomaly cards to go with it, this deck could be solid. This deck could be pretty good, but we just got to see what else we get, though. It's too early to know how good Chronomalies are going to be without knowing that other information. So next we have ZW Azura Strike. This is part of the ZW archetype. It's kind of, I think, more of a gimmick card than anything. Target Utopia, monster you control. It gains 1000 attack, and then when it's equipped, you can attack like all the monsters your opponent controls. So basically, you just equip this to Utopia and can swing over everything with, you know, 3,500 attack points. Yeah, it's not that that's a bad effect. I think it's just more of a gimmick. You're just not. It's more of like a for fun meme thing, I think, more than anything. Especially when I'm pretty sure you can just get this off the skill, right? The skill that Yuma has, where he turns into Super Saiyan and his hair goes all insane, all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure you can just summon it or get it through that mean anyways, or that ways anyway. So yeah, that's about it to talk about that card. Next up, Kagemusha Knight. Alright, so this is actually a level 3 warrior. We see in the TCG quite a bit. So when you normal summon a level 3 monster, special summon this card from your hand, you cannot synchro with it, so you have to XYZ with it. But it has actually really nice hidden effect in that you can chain it to your monster, summon an effect. So people use this in a TCG to summon like Tour Guide from the Underworld, and then they activate this effect to chain to it. And your opponent can't activate certain effects like Ash Blossom to negate the Tour Guide. So this is used to do what's called chain blocking, where you can basically stop your opponent from being able to activate certain effects to respond to your effects by using it to chain to your own monster. So it's a little bit complicated, a little bit advanced, but nonetheless, so this is actually a pretty cool card. I don't know what in the metagame right now we have that would actually run or play this card very much right now, but you know, so this is a solid card. This is a solid generic to have, and even if it's not good right now, this card could very well see play in the future. So just be aware if this is in the game and this is a thing, because this card could be relevant later on if it's not relevant now. Alright, next up we have a card that used to be really relevant, but got nerfed and is no longer relevant in the TCG, and probably won't be relevant in Duel Links. That's Brain Control. Pay 800 life points, target a face-up monster opponent controls. It has to be one that can be normal summoned or set and take control of it till the end of the turn. So, Synchro monsters, XYZs, can't be normal summoned or set. You can't brain control them. Anything like Levianeer that, or whatever that says you cannot normal summon or set this card, you can't brain control it. So there's a lot of really powerful boss monsters that you cannot brain control anymore like you used to be able to. And that really hinders the card quite a bit. It still has some uses. You can still take little smaller things, non-extra deck monsters and steal them. But I think the consistency with this card, with how many people end their turns with nothing but, you know, extra deck monsters or special summoned monsters, makes it highly unlikely this card's going to be, you know, really effective in Duel Links. Unfortunately, it's past its prime, which really sucks. This is a, you know, popular anime card and all that stuff, but, you know, it is what it is. Next up, we have Condolence Puppet. So, super rare. This is pretty cool. Send a gimmick puppet monster with different names from your deck to the graveyard, up to the number of monsters your opponent controls that were special summoned from the extra deck plus 1. So anytime you activate this card, you're automatically going to send at least one gimmick puppet from your deck to grave, and for every extra deck monster on their side of the board, you send one extra one. So you can send up to four gimmick puppets from your deck to graveyard, one card. Kind of like the what's that card that was banned near the beginning of the TCG? I forget what it's called. Painful Choice. Where you send like 5 cards from your deck to graveyard to 4, and then you get to add one. Kind of like that. You get to send 4 cards from your deck to graveyard, potentially up to. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a machine XYZ monster you control, which the gimmick puppets are mostly machine XYZs, and then it can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while face up on the field. And it doesn't have to be gimmick puppets, it's any machine XYZ. So you can make any machine XYZ with this, or with your monsters, and while this is in the graveyard, banish it, and boom, it can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So this is pretty good. It's a Foolish Burial that can send more than one card potentially to the graveyard, and it can protect your monsters by, I don't think you can activate it, like chain it to stuff, so you can't, like, your opponent can't like activate a card and you can't like chain this or something. I don't believe that's how it works, but you can still activate this, and as long as that monster stays face up, it can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So it's not till like the end of the turn, it's as long as that thing is face up. So both the effects are once per turn, but either way, that's really, really good. And if we get that other a gimmick puppet card that was kind of like leaked, or like the rarity change or whatever, that also can send, I believe there's another one, like you normal summon it and like it sends a gimmick puppet from your deck to graveyard. If we got that, we have multiple ways now to send a gimmick puppet from our deck to your graveyard. That's going to help Junk Puppet become useful, and it's also going to help us maybe not need that skill where you start out the game with like the junks in your graveyard, or excuse me, the gimmick puppets in your graveyard. So it might open the door for the other skills to become useful as well. So hopefully it does, and hopefully gimmick puppets become more viable. Alright, last up, the last super rare is XYZ Gift. If you control 2 or more face-up XYZ monsters, detach 2 materials from one of them and draw 2 cards. I don't know, I think it's kind of tough to get 2 XYZ monsters on the board and while still having this on hand. I don't think this card's going to be very, very good, unfortunately. Yeah, I think it's just a filler more than anything. Alright, and we'll go over a few of the rares here. We do have potentially a few relevant rare cards. I don't know how to pronounce the first part of this name, but King of Heavy Industry. 3 level 5 monsters, so it does take up quite an investment. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card to send the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck to the graveyard, and if any monsters were sent there by that effect, destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of monsters set. So again, quite an investment, needing 3 level 5 monsters. It is generic though, and yeah, kind of a cool effect, maybe more of a gimmick card, or kind of a meme card than anything else, but it's there. Next we have another monster, or XYZ, that requires 3 monsters, 1-eyed skill gainer, 3 level 4s, detach the XYZ from this card, to target a face-up XYZ, target a face-up XYZ monster your opponent controls. This card's name and effect gets copied as that same monster, so you can only use it face-up or once while this card is face-up on the field, but yeah, it basically allows you to copy your opponent's effects and stuff like that. Another kind of meme gimmicky card. But finally we get to the other chronomalies that are in the box. We have 2 rare chronomalies in this box. Chronomaly Soul Monolith is the first one. This is a level 6 rock that has only 600 attack and defense, so not much in the way of stats, but its effect says once per turn you can target 1 chronomaly monster you control, its level becomes 6, and you can only special summon chronomalies the rest of this turn. So you can get this on the board, Chronomaly Soul Monolith, and then have Nibur Disc engraved, bring back the Nibur Disc, activate Soul Monolith to make these a rank 6, and go for your rank 6 play into the Chronomaly Atlantis. So there's that. And then also we have Chronomaly Wing Sphinx. When this card is normal summon, you target a level 5 Chronomaly in your graveyard, special summon it. You cannot special summon anything besides Chronomalies the rest of the turn. So yeah, I don't know, I don't see any other Chronomalies that are level 5s besides this one. So I guess you bring back more copies of itself. But if you look, there are a ton of other chronomalies that we haven't, been announced, haven't been released yet. There's a good amount. I mean, I was looking at them earlier. See, let's bring them up here for you guys to see. Yeah, look at all these. Look at how many chronomaly cards we that are available. So we still don't have most of them. There's still plenty to come. We're probably going to be getting some more soon. Oh, here's another one right here, City Babylon. This is actually a field spell that once per turn you can banish a chronomaly monster from your graveyard and target another chronomaly in your graveyard that's the same level as the banish and bring it back. Kind of difficult to see right now because all the chronomalies are different levels, level 3, 4, 5, 6, but as we go on and get more chronomalies, this card could be really good as well. So be aware this is also in the game. Also, Psychic Tracker getting a reprint too. It is kind of cool. Too bad the other Psychic monster's not getting a reprint though, Wheeler. But yeah, that's it. There's a few other normals and rares in here. I don't think most of them are going to be all that relevant though. Oh yeah, reprint a Revival Golem. It's not terrible. But yeah, so yeah, some new cards, new cool cards in here, and we'll see what the new skills and what the new cards we get from the character for Chronomalies are, and see how good that deck is going to be. Either way, this is it for the XYZ era, guys. Last box for the XYZ era. Pendulums are coming. Arc 5 is coming next month. It's almost here. It's going to be an exciting month once that happens and everything that's coming around during that time. So you guys ready for it? Anyway, thank you guys all for watching, and I will see you guys soon, and next time we have some news updates.